Welcome back to my channel, or to my channel if you are new here. I have decided to create a series, or maybe this is just gonna be one video. I have not decided. I came up with this a couple hours ago. I want to do an advent calendar type of challenge this month. So today is December 1st when I am filming this. So basically this is an advent calendar that I had last year, and it was filled with like mini diamond paintings. And so this year I've decided to reuse it, and I have put different prompts in it. Some's like I have to read so much in a day, like hour wise. I have some that's based off of the cover. I have some book titles in there, stuff like that. And basically I wrote these prompts down on pieces of paper, and then I folded them up and randomly put them in these boxes. I don't know what's in here, and we're just gonna pick it and just read. So hopefully I have it like spaced out well, where I'm not going to be having to read multiple different books, and I can kind of like move around. I'm a little nervous. I have read over 30 books in a month before, so it's possible. I just don't know if I want to do that. So this is really just a challenge altogether. We're gonna choose the first book. It is really late at night. Right now it's currently past 9 p.m. and I go to bed around 10:30. We're just gonna do this and hopefully it turns out good. So I'm gonna start at the bottom and choose one. The thingies are... Please do not fall out. Okay, I had a little Santa that sat at the top, and I'm gonna try to fix them, but I broke them last year and I'm very sad about it. So hopefully I can fix it at some point, but for now we're working with what we got. So I got day one, and I'm gonna open it. There we go. I wrote these on sticky notes, and so it's kind of a little difficult for me to get them out apparently, and they were all sticking together when I was putting them in the box. Okay, I'm gonna let you see it first and then I'll see it. So here's what we got. Is that upside down? Can you see it? Let's hope. Has a blue book cover. Okay, so I have to find a book with a blue book cover. So I'm gonna come back. I'm going to try to make this a short book, or a book that I have already started reading. This actually works great, the prompt does, with what I have already been reading. So I am currently 82% through the audiobook for The Last One at the Wedding. Yes, I keep messing up that title. And we're gonna finish that. I'm sorry if you can hear my family in the background. So basically this man, he's going to his daughter's wedding, who he hasn't talked to his daughter in like 3 years, and immediately it's just super creepy. She's marrying this like really rich man's son. The family has money, but it's, as far as I know, and maybe I wasn't paying attention, but the way that they have money is very like corrupt. There's a mystery surrounding the family that's like a really big deal about this woman, and so you're trying to figure that out, and it's just red flags all the way around. Like I said, I'm 82% through. There has been some tea. Do I particularly love this book? No. Hidden Pictures was a lot different because I was like intrigued the entire time. I think I finished that book in like a day or two, whereas this one I've been reading for like 4 or so days. There's just something about this book that I just don't really care for. Like I feel like I know everything that's happening already. I already guessed one of the things that has come up, and it's just, I don't care enough. I just don't. I have like 2 hours left in the audiobook, and I'm listening to it on 2x speed, so an hour in the audiobook, I can definitely do that. It's currently 9:38, so I'm gonna get to reading. It is now the next day, and I have updates. First of all, I finished The Last One at the Wedding. I didn't like it. It was a waste of my time, to be honest. The ending was ridiculous. I didn't like any of the characters. There was nobody who I really cared for, and that really brought the whole book down. It was very predictable also. There's nothing that I really cared for. I feel like the plot fell flat throughout the majority of this book. It wasn't good. It really was just a book that I read and I wish I hadn't. So with that, I am glad that I finished it. It did take me a while to finish it, especially because I was listening to it on audiobook, and usually an audiobook I get through in like a day or two, but not that one. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna get the second day's book so that I have more time to actually read it, and also if it's like one of the time ones, I have enough time to finish that prompt. So let's go. Let's pick it. There we go. Okay. Once again, I will let you guys see it before I do. I hope this is good. I hope this is not something crazy. I'm a little nervous. I'm such a mood reader that I'm really just nervous that I'm not gonna end up liking a book. Also, DNFs are definitely on the table. So this is what we got. I can't tell. Read a romance. Okay. This is doable. What do I want to read though? That's the real question. I have Weather Girl on my physical TBR that I could pick up, but I feel like I should do a shorter book. I could also pick up a romance that I stopped reading. I kind of just put it down. What else? I actually don't own a lot of romance on like my physical TBR, so I really don't know. I have chosen a book that's 296 pages on Kindle, and I feel like I may end up regretting that decision. I'm in the mood to physically read though, so I didn't want to choose an audiobook. And romance I typically read a little bit faster. I am definitely a slow reader. I average about like 40 pages an hour depending on the book. Sometimes it's only like 20 pages an hour. So let's hope that's not the case. But I'm going to pick up My Kind of Trouble. I have this from the library and I have like 5 days to finish it. So I'm gonna pick this up and read it, and hopefully I enjoy it. Like I said, DNFs are always on the table, so if I end up not liking it, we're DNFing it. So hopefully that's not the case though, and I end up liking it, and I end up getting a good bit through it today, because if I have to finish it tomorrow, then I can do that. But I need over like 60-70% today. I don't know much about this book besides the fact that it's about a librarian. The guy's a librarian, and then the girl, I think she's like new in this small town. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm very excited to read this. I hope it's just like a good little time. I don't know what time of the year this takes place in, but I'm really hoping that we're in like fall, winter time. Sorry.
It's rolling, bruh.
It's awkward when somebody's filming you. Okay.
Wow, it's the cheese.
Get up here then. Are we good now? I am currently 23% through My Kind of Trouble, and I'm really enjoying it. I haven't looked on Goodreads actually. I'm gonna do that real quick, but this isn't a popular book, and I know it's a 2024 release. Yeah, it only has 287 ratings, but this book is so good. I thought that it was gonna be like written a lot worse, but it's not. It's like decent writing, and I'm just really enjoying it. Our female main character is this woman who is a con artist basically. She comes to this town called Brookville, and her main goal is to take down this mayor who did her dad wrong, and she's like planning on taking him down by creating this festival, and basically he's gonna have to put a lot of money into it to keep it running, and then like he's screwed because like I said, he's the mayor, and she's just gonna take his money basically. So she ends up having to find land to have this festival on, and that's where our male main character comes into play, because he is the town's librarian, and he owns this piece of land that was his mom's, who had passed away, and he plans on giving it to his sister when she's old enough. He is currently the sole provider and guardian of his sister, who's in 4th grade, and both he and his sister have autism, and that's like a main plot in the book as well. And so it's just like this like small town romance, and it's so good. Our main characters haven't even been together that much, and I'm 80 pages in, but I am still eating it up, and like every single time that they have just even the slightest interaction, I'm in love with it, and I love this book so much, and I'm just really enjoying it. I currently have 6 hours and 52 minutes left in the book, and it is currently almost 6 o'clock. It's 5:41. So am I going to complete this today? Probably not. We are now officially on day 3, and I've already messed up. I didn't finish the book last night that I started. I'm at 27% through that, so I'm going to continue to just read that as I can and try to finish it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do today's. I really want an audiobook. If I can't get an audiobook, then I might cry. Okay, we have day 3, and this is a bigger piece of paper, so I don't know what that could mean. Okay, you guys get to see it first. It is definitely upside down, I'm pretty sure. Oh, okay, I can kind of tell what this is through the paper. You've lost a lot of blood. So this is actually the first book that we've gotten, and I am so happy that I got this, because 1, it's a short audiobook, and 2, I have it on audio right now from the library. Do I know anything about You've Lost a Lot of Blood? No, I do not. Let's talk about You've Lost a Lot of Blood, because I have lost a lot of brain cells. I don't know what's going on. Like, I do, but I don't. So let me explain. I'm currently 68% through this book. I'm almost done with this book, and I am slightly confused. So we're following 2 different like storylines, and one has to do with this guy who is basically talking about the fact that he's like gonna kill his partner, and he's like talking about how he's gonna do it, why he's doing it. And then we have another storyline following these 2 siblings, this girl and this boy, and the girl is like, she does something with games, I'm not exactly sure, and she's now responsible for her younger brother. They go to this house that is this like infamous game developer's house. How I'm taking it is this girl is responsible for finishing this game. It never got finished, it never got released, and she's there to finish it. The whole book is just creepy, odd vibes. I was thinking, and I just feel like LaRocca's writing feels like just scribbling down ideas on a paper and mashing them together, and in like a good way, but also like I'm just confused this entire time and I don't know what's going on, and I don't know if I like it or I hate it, but I'm here. I also don't know how these two stories line up. Before you start reading the chapters for the brother and the sister, there's like this message that pops up that's like basically this was written by, these are excerpts or whatever by so-and-so, and I don't get it. Like it's like their parts are supposed to be a part of a book, and then you're also following the other two characters, and I don't understand it. I'm here for it. I just don't know what I'm here for. Does that make sense? I hope so. I woke up this morning. I'm sick. I felt it coming on yesterday and I ignored it, and here we are. Last night I finished You've Lost a Lot of Blood. I didn't like it. First of all, it is so difficult to follow that storyline. I finished the book and I am still confused. There was no real point to it, honestly, and I just didn't care. I'd say it's probably my least favorite LaRocca book that I've read. I think that was like the third or fourth one that I've read. It was super confusing. The ending was kind of ridiculous. I didn't really like it. That's that. I don't know. I didn't like it. And then I didn't make it too much further into my kind of trouble. I've made the executive decision to kind of put it down for now and just read it at my own pace instead of rushing through it. And so to fulfill that like read a romance prompt, I picked up Below Zero by Ali Hazelwood on audio. This is the first ever Ali Hazelwood book that I've ever read, and I'm currently 24% through this. It's like a 4-hour audiobook, so it's not that long. I'm enjoying it so far. I have no real like thoughts on it. We're following our main character, who is a scientist. She works at NASA and she's only been there for like a year or whatever, and it starts out where she's in the Arctic and she's like basically dying, and then we go back some years to when she met like her love interest and started at NASA and all that stuff, and that's where we're at. Honestly, I thought that I wasn't gonna like it as much as I am, so there's that. But I also just it's not something that I'm really attached to or anything. The characters I don't really care about right now, and I'm hoping that's gonna change, obviously, because like I said, I am only 24% through. But short books I typically don't end up liking as is. I don't see it happening. Like, I feel like I need a longer book to fully develop an attachment to the characters and care about the story, and it's really difficult to find shorter books that I end up enjoying and liking. So I just don't know how well that's gonna pan out for me, but that's that. I went ahead and grabbed day 4 so that we can open it and see what this prompt is. I'm hoping it's, I don't know. I don't know what this is gonna be, so we're just gonna open it. Okay, just gotta make sure that I'm opening it right. Oh, this is a book that I own. This book is called Bibliolepsy, I think is how you pronounce it. Let me find it on my shelves real quick. This is a book that I found in a library book sale. I know nothing about it, but I have it on audio, and it's like a short book. It's like 6 hours long, so I can like fly through it. Based off of the synopsis, what I've gathered is we're following our main character, who is obsessed with reading and books, and this takes place during the 80s in the Philippines. I originally wanted to pick this up to check off for, I think it's Pop Sugar's 2024 reading challenge, which I'm not completing. I still have far too many, I think, to complete it, but I originally wanted to pick it up for that. I am intrigued by this, and I will let you know how it goes when I start this. It is now the next day and I have reading updates. First and foremost, I finished Below Zero. If I was rating this, I would give it like a 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. There's nothing like inherently wrong with it, I guess. I just didn't really care for the characters. Like there was no like emotional attachment or anything. Maybe it's like a 4.5. Maybe it's a 4. I don't know. I didn't hate it. Like I said, I would have rather have read like a longer book about these characters. Yeah, it was just like a cute little romance book. There was nothing that I have too much to say about that. And then I have been reading Bibliolepsy. I still don't know if that's exactly how you pronounce it. I am currently 24% through the audiobook for this and I'm really enjoying it. We're following our main character, and at first she's telling us about how her parents met, and then we're getting introduced to her and we're currently like in her childhood, and I'm guessing it's gonna follow her throughout like adulthood and stuff. So far it's a really straightforward literary fiction. There's nothing crazy going on. With the writing specifically, I feel like it feels very similar to The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde. That is a long title, which I didn't particularly love this book. It's memorable to me, but I didn't really love the writing style, and that's what this writing style was giving. The Brief and Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde, part of my complaint about it was that it felt too long, and honestly, you're following multiple different characters who are around our main character, Oscar, and it felt just super unnecessary for some of their stories to be in here. Whereas this, because it's shorter, automatically I'm enjoying it more, and also we are like staying on one character so far. I wanted to go ahead and do the advent calendar for today. If it's one of the time prompts, do I start based off of like when I started reading for that day, or do I start it based off of when I pull it out of the advent calendar? And I think I'm gonna do it based off of when I started reading for that day. I think that makes the most sense, so we'll see. Hopefully, that'd be really odd if it was, but I'm gonna let you guys see this first. Okay. This is a long one. Oh god. What's the day of the month? Choose a shelf, then that book number. Today's the 5th, and I gotta choose a random shelf. It doesn't have to be the 5th shelf of a shelf. It just has to be a random shelf, and then I choose the 5th book based off of that shelf. This is terrible timing to do this though, because my shelves are absolutely hideous. I need to clean them off, and I have not done so, but I think I'm gonna go with my TBR shelves, which is like right here. These are books that like I want to read as soon as possible, so I'm going to move you guys and choose a shelf. Hopefully it's a shorter book, hopefully it's not super long, but let's go. Okay, I cleaned off the shelves a little bit, and this is what we're working with. So I can either choose this shelf, this one, or this top one right up here. So what do I want to read? Because the choices, maybe that's cheating, maybe I shouldn't just like look at the 5th book, but it's like right there. So I'm between these 3 options, and I'm not sure what I want to go with, because I'm not in love with the idea of reading a nonfiction right now. And I don't particularly care to pick up Human Acts right now. That's definitely a book that I would rather take my time with. I did start this though, and I don't think I got super far into it. Yeah, I'm like on page 20. And I know I can't get this on audiobook, and I don't want to really read that one on audiobook, and I want to take my time with it. So I think Human Acts is immediately out, and I'm left with these 2. I know this is a YA, and I could read it faster, but I just don't know if that's what I want to do. I think I'm just going to go with this is where it ends. This is also where I make a big mistake, because
I have to physically read this. You can really tell the state of disarray that my room is in from this angle, I feel like. So, ignore that, guys. Anyways, I'm gonna pick this up. And I'm probably gonna regret it. I know this is a YA, and I know it can be read fast, but I also know that I'm not a fast reader. And I also know that my attention span has been garbage recently, and I also know that I just don't know. What I know about this is we are following a school shooting. It's broken up, I believe, in time frames, which I think is going to be really interesting to read. I don't know if we're following multiple... Okay, we are. Told from 4 different perspectives over the span of 54 harrowing minutes. Oh, okay. Terror reigns as one student's calculated revenge turns into the ultimate game of survival. So, I'm interested to read this. I've been wanting to read this for a little bit, and I'm just hoping that I can make good progress in this and that it doesn't take me multiple days to finish it. I have not made any more progress in Bibliolepsy, so we're not going to talk about that because I have no new thoughts about it. But I have been reading This Is Where It Ends. I'm currently on page 182 and I'm really enjoying it. It's not something that I'm gonna give a high rating. I already know that. The thing is that I love reading YA books, but I don't typically give them high ratings. That's not to say that some of my favorite books aren't YA, just this isn't one of them. I do have some thoughts though on this book. First and foremost, we are following 4 different characters throughout the school. They're all doing like different things. We're following all 4 of their perspectives. The chapters are broken up by their perspectives, and then on top of that, the chapters are relatively short. So each section's like pretty short. It's only like maybe 3-4 pages at most. It's a very fast-paced book. I'm getting through this really fast, and it is one of those books where I don't want to put it down. Like, I just want to keep reading and keep reading. And it's not as hard-hitting as I thought it was gonna be. I thought that it was gonna be a lot more emotionally, like, tolling. But, it's not as much as the subject material is. At least for me. I think that could definitely vary depending on who you are. I honestly think a perspective from... as like you as a reader, I think it's second person perspective. I get them mixed up, I'm gonna be honest, but I'm thinking like a section where it's like you do this and then you do that and this is how you feel, and like it's very much describing your emotions and putting you in the story. I think that that would have caused a lot more emotional depth to the story. Something else that I feel like would have benefited, maybe not as much, but knowing who the person who is in the school and doing the school shooting, knowing who that is, I feel like causes you to kind of be out of the story a little bit, because it's not like the most intriguing to read because you know who this person is, and it doesn't feel as impactful. That's not to say that I don't think that this couldn't be impactful or that it's necessarily missing anything. Those things would have probably made the story more enjoyable for me, but there's nothing wrong with this book. I think when I was 16 and I was getting back into reading and I was reading a lot of YA, I think that this would have been a good book to pick up for me during that time, because I think I would have enjoyed it more. But I'm gonna go ahead and open up today's, and I'm really hoping for a time prompt so that I don't have to add another book to read, because I have both of those books to finish. This is what we got. This is not a time prompt, I can already tell. Okay. Has a red and green cover. I'm gonna look and see and I'll come back to you because I'm not really sure yet. I have so many updates for you, so let's just get into it. First and foremost, I have finished 2 books since I talked to you yesterday, and we need to talk about them. So first of all, I finished This Is Where It Ends. If I were to actually rate this, I think that I would give it maybe like a 3.5 or somewhere along that line. I really enjoyed it. I do think that it feels just like a standard YA, and even though I'm getting more into YA again because I haven't really been reading it the last like 2 or 3 years, I don't think that this is like where my love of YA is in the genre, if that makes sense. It's very cut and dry. There's nothing like crazy that you wouldn't expect in it. I do really respect this book and I understand what it's doing, and I think that it was very respectful in the approach that it took, and especially because this author, she talks about it at some point that she's not from the US, and she was talking about how the reason why she read this book is because she was discussing with a friend of hers who is from the US the difference in the schools, and the fact that where she's from, it's never a question that you could go to school that day and something could happen and you could die or return home literally traumatized because of a school shooting. And she was talking to her friend about that and how their experiences differed in school. Her researching about it and stuff is what made her go, I want to write this book. There was never a point where I was like, oh, this doesn't seem unrealistic. It's very rooted in reality and something that could easily happen. I think that the approach of the author and the way that she told the story and also the perspectives that she used was really important, and I think that it was just well-rounded. I can't say that I wouldn't ever recommend this book because I definitely think that I would. I just think that there's a specific audience for this book, and I'm like right in the middle. I could have really enjoyed this book or I could have really hated it, and the fact that it's right there in the middle is my final rating as well. I think that that's fine. So I have nothing else to say about this. Bibliolepsy. This book was so disappointing. The first half of it I really enjoyed, and I thought that it was going to be a book that I was really going to enjoy, and that it was going to stick with me. But the second half, it just got away from me. I hated it. I thought about DNFing this once I had reached the second half quite a few times. The ending, there was no payoff in the end, which isn't necessarily like a thing I look for in books, but when I already dislike it so far into it, I want at least a payoff, because if not, why did I finish reading it? The book is literally just us following this woman as she's going through life and she's experiencing life, and her love of books is kind of weaved into her life and her experiences. And as much as I thought that was going to be relatable and I was going to enjoy it, it just didn't happen, and it was boring. I didn't care about the character, I didn't care about the side characters, I didn't care about the story. I just didn't care once I reached that like 50% mark. It just really fell flat for me and just not something that I would really recommend. I prompt yesterday, and the reason why I haven't gotten back to you until today about it is so difficult to find a book that has red and green on the cover, and that's like the only colors. And so I struggled really hard to, one, find a book that even had red and green on the cover, and two, to find a book that was solely red and green, and also that I wanted to read and that was short enough to read in a day or so. And so that was really difficult for me. I did find some books on my physical TBR that had red and green on them, but that wasn't like the sole colors. And so I ended up picking up one of these. So these were kind of the options that I had to go on. We have Worm, which is a graphic novel, and we're following this little boy in Cuba during the Cuban War, I think is what it is. I have had this book for a year or so, a little over a year, maybe going on 2 years, I'm not really sure, but I was really thinking about picking this up, but I didn't end up picking this up because it just wasn't what I wanted to read right now. And then I also had Harlem Shuffle, which has the red and the green and then the yellow, and I just didn't want to read this right now. Also, it's kind of longer, and I also felt the same way about Fields Where They Lay, which is something that I want to get to this month. And also, the red and green is very subtle. There's not a lot on it, so I didn't end up picking this one up. And what I actually ended up going with is The Friend, which I am now 25% through, and I'm really enjoying this. The Friend follows this woman who is writing a letter to a friend of hers that has passed away, and she basically inherits his dog, and that's as far as I've gotten so far. But my understanding of the book is we're following this woman and the man's dog that she's inherited. That's as far as I know. It does have the red and the green on the cover, but it also has blue, yellow, and orange. But I've been wanting to pick this up for a while, and I'm really excited that I did. I thought this was an older book as well, but it actually just came out in like 2018 or something, which is like still a while ago, but I thought it was like from the 90s or so. I'm really hoping for something good. I can't believe we're already on day 7. I also have to edit this video, so hopefully this isn't anything crazy, but it is a big thing. Is that upside down? Can you read that? Is it upside down? I think it's upside down. Okay, what's it say? Finish your current read. Oh, okay. That one's easy. Okay. That's great. That's great, because all I have to do is finish The Friend. So I'm gonna finish that, and then I'm gonna wrap up this vlog. So that came at like the perfect time. I thought that it was gonna be a more difficult prompt because it was a longer piece of paper, but I'm really happy with that. So I'm gonna finish up The Friend. I'm really happy with that prompt. So I'll talk to you later. It is now the next day. Can you tell that it's actually like 60 degrees outside? We love Indiana. I have updates. I finished The Friend. This is like, I really want to say it's a 5-star, but I feel like I need to reread it because I listened to it on audio, and although I've gotten 5 stars from audiobooks, I just don't know if I want to give this a 5-star or not. Not only are we getting excerpts and stories about the dog and her and their relationship, but we're also getting information about other writers, and it's talking about writing and the art of being a writer, and it's so much more, and it's just this tiny book. I really enjoyed this. I can't even put into words how much I enjoyed it, because it's, first of all, it's like incredibly well written. I actually have 2 other books by this author on my TBR, and I didn't even know. And so now those are getting bumped up because I want to read those. As much as I did enjoy this, I do think that there's a specific audience for it. I don't think that just anybody can go into this book and enjoy it. I don't even think I have a book that I can compare this book to, but I'm really glad that I got around to it because I just think this was a great book. The relationship dynamic between the woman and her dog, so much of it I just really loved. I loved the commentary on animals, and it also made me cry, by the way. So with that being said, I am here to wrap this vlog up and hopefully get it up either today or tomorrow. But I've read 6 books in this week. I am really happy with that. Last month was not my month for reading, so I'm really glad that I'm getting back into the groove of it. So with that being said, let's wrap this up. The first book that I finished was The Last One at the Wedding. I listened to this on audiobook and I absolutely despised it. I hated the ending. Actually, I want to say absolutely despised it, but I did despise it. We'll take the absolutely out. This would get like a 2-star if I was rating it. The next book that I finished was You've Lost a Lot of Blood, which I would also give this about a 2-star. It is maybe a 3 if I'm being generous. It's really confusing. It's mostly just vibes. If you're here for vibes, then I think that you'll enjoy it. From my memory, it kind of reminds me of, oh, what is that book that I read? What is it called? For You've Lost a Lot of Blood, under like the Readers Have Also Enjoyed spot on Goodreads. And Then I Woke Up is recommended, which makes a lot of sense. Same with Goddess of Filth. Those both make really okay, that's what I was thinking of. Also, This Thing Between Us, another really confusing book that's just vibes. And the book that I was actually thinking of was Nothing But Blackened Teeth. From my memory, I feel like these books are very similar. So if you enjoyed those books, I say pick this up. If you did not enjoy those books, just toss it, because I feel very similarly about all those books as I do about this. Besides, And Then I Woke Up, I actually think I enjoyed a lot more. The third book that I read was Below Zero, and I don't really have much to say about this book. It was kind of just a romance that I read. If you are a fan of Ali Hazelwood, pick it up. That's the only book that I've read from her, so I can't actually compare books that she's written. It's just like a standard typical romance. There's nothing that stands out to me. I just think that it was just a book that I read, and so I'm kind of just in the middle of whether it was like it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't fantastic. This Is Where It Ends was a really just standard YA book. There's nothing that I think is absolutely phenomenal about it. I definitely feel like there's probably other books on this subject material that are better. I have not found any, but I do feel like there's probably better ones out there. If you're looking for something that's really fast paced, that's YA, that involves around kind of serious topics, there's quite a few serious topics in this, but in a way that's not super in-depth, then I would pick this up. Otherwise, it's really not worth it. The fifth book that I picked up was Bibliolepsy. I thought for the first half of this that I would give this book about a 4-star. It got bumped down to like a 2-star after I realized that the second half, it wasn't worth it to read this. The payoff wasn't good in the end. There was nothing about it that I really cared about. And as much as I thought that I was going to be able to either relate to this character or at least like what she was saying, I didn't care. The main character just felt really flat and dull, and there was nothing about it that was phenomenal. And the writing was pretty good, I will say that, but I think that I would pass on this. I would maybe pick up this author's other books and give those a try, but this one just wasn't it for me. Out of all the books that I've read in this vlog, this one is the one that takes the cake. The Friend is just, it's so good, and it's exactly what I wanted. It talks about things that I was actually interested in doing, and as much as it feels kind of like a stream of conscious type of writing, I really enjoyed that. I think that that type of writing just speaks to me, and some of my favorite authors have that kind of writing style, and I would even say that I do. There's even kind of a twist in it, and I think that that was just, it was just well done all the way around, and I just really love this, and I could talk about it for hours. And it's just, maybe it is a 5-star. Maybe it is. Maybe it should go on my favorite shelf. It might be there. I might go ahead and put it on my favorite shelf and then reread it at some point just to double check. But I really enjoyed this. With that being said, pretend there are 6 books here and I've read them. That's this vlog. But I'm gonna start filming the second one immediately, so come back for that one.